There is a number that the British government has never officially accepted. 1,650. That is the number of rounds fired at the Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar on April 13, 1919. It is not a contested number. It comes from the official testimony of the man who gave the order, Brigadier General Reginald Dyer, delivered to the Hunter Commission, the inquiry the British government convened to investigate what had happened. Dyer counted the rounds himself. He was precise about it. 1,650 rounds in approximately 10 minutes into a walled garden where somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 unarmed civilians had gathered for a festival. The number of people killed is contested. The British inquiry said 379. The Indian National Congress counted over 1,000. The gap between those two figures is not a rounding error. It is a record of who was allowed to count. What is not contested, because it is in Dyer's own hand, is this. He stopped firing when he ran out of space to maneuver his armored cars, and he was angry that he had not brought more ammunition. I want to be precise about that. Not when the crowd dispersed, not when he judged the threat neutralized. He stopped when he could no longer physically operate his vehicles in the narrow lanes approaching the Dardan, and he recorded in his private diary that his only regret was logistical. That diary exists. It is in the British Library. It has been there since 1927. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what Jallianwala Bagh was and who was in it. The Bagh is a public garden in Amritsar, roughly the size of a city block, enclosed on nearly all sides by buildings. It has a small number of narrow entrances, the largest barely wide enough for two people to walk abreast. On April 13, 1919, those 10,000 to 20,000 people were gathered there for Baisakhi, the Sikh harvest festival, one of the most important celebrations in the Punjabi calendar. Some of them knew there was political tension in the city. Many of them did not. Many of them were not from Amritsar at all. They were pilgrims who had come for the festival from villages across Punjab and had gathered in the Bagh because it was a traditional assembly point. The British had declared martial law in the Punjab 3 days earlier. The declaration had not been widely announced in the areas those pilgrims came from. This is in the record. Dyer knew it was in the record. He mentioned it to the Hunter Commission without appearing to understand why it might be relevant. When Dyer arrived at the Bagh with 90 troops and 2 armored cars, he did not issue a warning. He did not order the crowd to disperse. He positioned his men at the main entrance, the one most people would have used to leave, and he gave the order to fire directly into the crowd. 10 minutes. 1,650 rounds. People were killed trying to climb the walls. People were killed in the crush at the narrow exits. People were killed where they stood, because there was nowhere to run. The well at the center of the garden, it is still there, has a plaque beside it that records how many people jumped in trying to escape and drowned. The British inquiry did not count the people in the well. The British inquiry did not investigate the well at all. The Hunter Commission was announced as an independent inquiry. The word independent is worth examining. 5 of its 8 members were British. The 3 Indian members submitted a separate minority report. The majority report, the one the British government accepted, concluded that Dyer had made an error of judgment. Not a war crime, not a massacre. An error of judgment, the kind of phrase that sounds like an accountability measure while containing none of the substance of one. Dyer was asked to resign his command. He was not court-martialed. He was not prosecuted. He was not stripped of his rank or his pension. He was given a jeweled sword by a group of British supporters and £26,000 raised by public subscription in Britain as a gesture of solidarity. The Morning Post, one of the most widely read newspapers in the country, called the fund a tribute to the man who saved India. £26,000 in 1920 is approximately $1.2 million today. The people who contributed to that fund had read the testimony. They knew about the 1,650 rounds. They knew Dyer blocked the exit before opening fire. They knew he had not issued a dispersal order. They contributed anyway. Some of them wrote letters to the newspaper saying they would have done the same. Winston Churchill condemned the massacre in the House of Commons. He called it an extraordinary event, a monstrous event. He said it was without precedent or parallel in the modern history of the British Empire. He was Secretary of State for War at the time. His government accepted the Hunter Commission's finding of error of judgment. His government allowed Dyer to retire on pension. His government permitted the public subscription. Churchill's condemnation is quoted in almost every account of Amritsar. What his government did is quoted in almost none of them. Here is the part of the record that does not appear in any official account. After the firing stopped, Dyer ordered his troops to leave without providing medical assistance to the wounded. He returned to his headquarters. The wounded lay in the bog through the night. The city was under curfew. No one could come to them. No Indian doctor could move through the streets without risking arrest. The gates of the bog were not locked. Dyer had not locked them. But the curfew meant that reaching someone in the garden meant breaking a military order. The British inquiry did not investigate what happened to the wounded overnight. The question was raised in the minority report by the Indian members of the commission. It was not addressed in the majority report. It was not addressed in the parliamentary debate. It is in the minority report, which was submitted in full in 1920, which is publicly available and has been cited in English-language historiography about 1/10 as often as Churchill's speech. The minority report also noted something else. In the days following the massacre, Dyer ordered the public flogging of Indian residents of Amritsar for minor infractions. He ordered a crawling order. Any Indian wishing to pass through a particular street where a British woman had been assaulted was required to crawl the length of it on hands and knees. The Hunter Commission majority report described the crawling order as an unfortunate error. The crawling order remained in effect for weeks. Dyer died in 1927. He gave an interview in the final year of his life. He said he had no regrets about the bog. He said he had been given a duty and he had performed it. He said the only thing he had ever asked himself was whether he had done enough. The diary is in the British Library. The minority report is in the parliamentary record. The subscription fund is documented in the Morning Post archive, which has been digitized. The crawling order is in Dyer's own administrative correspondence, also archived. These are not hidden documents. They have been available to every journalist, every historian, every member of parliament who has spoken about Amritsar in the last 100 years. In 2019, on the centennial of the massacre, the British Prime Minister called it a deeply shameful event in British history. She did not apologize. The official position of the British government remains that no formal apology is warranted. The man who carried out the massacre died in his bed. The man who funded his retirement sword and his tribute fund had read the testimony. The government that accepted an error of judgment had read the minority report. The Prime Minister who called it deeply shameful had access to the diary. 1,650 rounds in 10 minutes. The exits blocked before the firing started. The wounded left through the night. The crawling order, the sword, the 26,000 pounds. Every piece of this is in the record. The record is open. The question has never been whether the evidence exists. The question has always been who gets to decide what the evidence means and who gets to decide what an apology is worth.